Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is November 10th, 2020, and this is episode 126. Today we're looking at Punchline from DC Universe. This is number 1. It's written by James Tynion IV, Sam Johns, and Miranda? What is his name? Aldolfo is the artist. I'm sorry. This takes place right after the Joker Wars. It is Punchline's first standalone comic, I might mention. She was featured in Joker's World's War. That was her first comic appearance, and then she's also in Diamond Previews, if you really want to say that's her first appearance. But this is her first standalone comic, which is what's important. Okay, just want to say that the canon on Batman has now been changed. It's almost like Harley Quinn has been totally written out of the Joker line. She's not mentioned at all in this story, and this is a big story. It's a $4.99 comic for about 30 pages, and she goes through Joker's life through mostly her following Joker's life, I should say. It starts out years ago before she is involved with Joker. She's on a field trip. She's high school. She just kind of really briefly said hardly anything said about her. Hardly any backstory. She says she's just an average student, average kid. She's struggling to keep her grades up. They go to a TV studio on a field trip, and lo and behold, page 2, the Joker's there. He's taken over the TV studio, and he's holding this class now captive. And he's basically bumping off the TV news staff one by one because none of them can read the message he wants to send out over the air. And it turns out that they get down to Alexis Kaye, aka Punchline, and he wants her to read it. She's terrified. She can't believe what's happening. He's threatening her to read it, and he's getting close to knocking her off. And we get a Batman Catwoman ad. Yay! Written by Tom King. Okay. Batman jumps in suddenly, and this is Center Stage, written by James Tynion and Sam Johns, as I'd mentioned before. That's a Jones. That's Johns, I'm sorry. Sam Johns. Okay. So Batman saves Alexa Kane in the nick of time. And it's Mirka Andolfo is the artist. Okay. He does an artist in here is fantastic. Not so crazy about the lettering. It is really small, and there's a lot of it. It's hard to read. I needed my magnifying glass the whole way. Even like the credits are hard to read. I'm just not keen on this letterer. And the story, it deals with the canon has been changed, and also the continuity of this story. I mean, it's written well. The dialogue's good. But the continuity, it kind of bounces back and forth, and you're just not sure. It's kind of like he's trying to do like that Pulp Fiction type story. He starts the beginning, now he jumps ahead. This is after the Joker Wars. They're trying to see if Alexis Kane is fit to stand trial. And she says she is, but Bluebird and Dr. Tompkins think there's something up. Now, the two guards lead her out of the courtroom after this pre-hearing, and it just turns out both of these guards are part of Punchline's staff, or whatever you want to call them, henchmen. It's just like, oh, brother, already? So they lead her out to the transport to take her, I guess, to a jail or somewhere. It's highly unlikely that there's hardly anybody out here. There's a couple, I guess, paparazzis there or something trying to get pictures of her. She's got a cloth over her head. As soon as she gets in this transport, she starts uploading videos. So obviously something's up. And the videos tell a story. They tell a story of a victim of a Joker. And as we see Cullen, who's Bluebird's gay brother, is falling for this big time. And it kind of goes back and forth. They have this dialogue. Bluebird's basically saying, her name's also Harper when she's not Bluebird. is saying, hey, there's something going on with her. And then we go to Kauai, Hawaii for a Snickers ad. It's just, God, oh my. So Bluebird goes out on patrol, I guess. And so Cullen stays back to play video games. And you're supposed to be able to read these messages. They are really difficult. And I don't know if it's the print job on this or what, but they are almost impossible to read. Just really small. As you can see, even here, this is a little bit larger, but it's so light, very difficult to read. He starts private chatting with a guy that tells him, "Oh man, you got to go back and watch those podcasts that Punchline did. They're really good." And so he begins journey through all the episodes of podcasts, and you can see it's just like reading microfiche without the microfiche reader. It's really small, and there's just all this dialogue, and it goes in by chapters of the Joker as he goes through these different capers and his stint in Arkham and his escapes from Arkham and on and on and on. However, there's no mention of Harley Quinn at all in all these years of her researching. She has become obsessed with Joker. She wants to meet him, and you can see this microfiche just keeps going on and on, and on and on and on. And she traces his steps through an amusement park that's still owned by the Joker for some reason. The city can't seem to take it away from her, and this is where she descends into madness as she takes out a mouse and becomes part of Joker's gang in the Joker's world, or war, excuse me. And then we have Harper's back, and she's arguing with Cullen again about Alexis Kaye. Of course, he thinks she's innocent, that she was brainwashed into doing this. Harper is like, no, she was an accomplice. She's part of Joker's gang. She should pay for her crimes. And so it turns out Cullen moves on, and I guess somehow Punchline knows this relationship between Harper and Cullen, because she sets Cullen up. She starts sending him messages, and as under the guise of another gay friend that he's never met, and they decide to meet up. So it's just like, and she's back in uniform. I think she's still supposed to be under guard supervision, but somehow she's back in uniform. And I think this is her again, wandering around, dropping off these packets of crazy dust. And she goes to some office building, and then she gives it to some homeless people, and then she gives it to some people in the subway. And I don't know if this is supposed to make them crazy and die or make them her minions. I'm not quite sure what it is supposed to do, but it's definitely they're not following her. Then she goes to a restaurant and poisons a bunch of people. And who should show up at just the right time is Mr. Joker himself. So she pulls the knife on him and just kind of says, I think we can help each other. And I'm not sure if this is before Joker War or after or during her prisons. It's the continuity here. It's all screwy. That's why I said it's a little bit like Pulp Fiction, and you're just trying to figure out what's going on. Another ad. Meantime, it's the next day, and the hearings are supposed to start for Punchline. You can see huge crowds out front as Bluebird looks down over the crowds. Cullen meets his friend, Bluff. I don't know what else to call him. That's what he's calling himself. And I do believe this is a setup by Punchline. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe he's getting set up. And it gives him a Joker mask. So it's this whole, Antifa type thing going on right now. They're pulling for Punchline. They think she's innocent. In the meantime, Dr. Thompson's car gets stuck in traffic. She's going to have to walk the rest of the way. Punchline has set this whole thing up, and there's going to be something happening to her eventually, but it's not said. Now, I don't want to go too much further. Punchline does make an appearance at the courthouse, and she's fully dressed and she's under guard, but she is in costume. So it's hard to tell what's going on here. I don't want to give any more the end or anything away at this point, but it's just a real kind of a messy story to me. It's hard for me to recommend it. I think if you're a fan of Batman and you collect Batman, you have to get it, obviously. If you like Punchline, you have to get it. I mean, I like the character. It just seems like the character was not developed enough in this comic. I thought it'd be more of a backstory on it, just one page. And also other reviewers, I just saw two others. I didn't really look too hard. Keeps It Real Comics, they gave it a recommend, and then he went and turned around and said he didn't know if he was going to buy the second issue. So if that means anything to you, it is kind of a mixed bag on this, unfortunately. Nerdette's Newsstand gave it a recommend as well. She's very excited about it, and she will continue on with her journey through Punchline. She will be getting the second issue. Me, I'm not so sure yet. I think I might try it out just to see if there is any extra backstory leading to Punchline. If there isn't, I think I'm out. Honestly, it's just not. As you can tell, there was hardly any action in this. I'll show you all the action. Basically, was right here. That was it. This whole huge comic. So, that's my review. Thank you for stopping by. Indie Comics Jones always appreciates your company in times of trouble. So, thank you for stopping in at the Temple of Tomes. Please like, please subscribe, please leave comments. If you dislike, please tell me why. And of course, I hope to see you again here at the Temple of Tomes. As always, this is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.